ready for us to start?
Yes, Madam Chair, you are all set and ready to go.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. Let me know.
Hi, you
How
are
are you?
all set.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the meeting of the Human and Community Services Committee for the West Hartford Town Council for Thursday, September 25, 2025. My name is Councilor Deb Poland. I'm the chair of this committee. We also have with us committee members, Town Council Member Barry Walters and Town Council Member Mary Fay. We have Deputy Mayor Ben Winograd and Councilor Tiffany McGinnis on with us as well. And we have Rick Ledwith and Adrian Billings-Smith, Mary Donahue, Laura Ermshire, Helen Rubino Turco, and Jerida Reinheimer. We also have Chuck Corsi with us, and I think I hit everybody. So thank you everyone for joining us. We have a lot of items on today's agenda, so we're just going to jump right in. And for committee members, I am seeking a motion to approve the minutes of July 29th, 2025.
Motion made.
Thank you, Councilor Fay.
Seconded.
Is there a second? Thank you, Councilor Walters. Any discussion? If not, I'll try your minds. All those in favor of approving the minutes? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, excellent. Super. We will move on then to business item 2B. This is a resolution accepting a donation in the amount of $5,584.53 to support programs and activities for America's 250 commemoration. And I think we're going to have a little presentation here. So I'm going to turn it over to our town manager, Rick Ledwith, to start us off.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good evening, everyone. It's great to see everyone. We've invited three special guests to join us tonight to provide our Human and Community Services Committee with an update on our townwide America 250 efforts. As we know, our country is celebrating our 250th birthday in 2026. And earlier this year, and that was really following several months of meeting with a planning committee that we had comprised, we formally created an America 250 task force, which started officially back in April. And the task force itself was comprised of members of our planning committee, along with really a couple of dozen residents who were very interested in working and collaborating to plan for what America 250 might look like here in West Hartford. Our planning committee is comprised of Laura Ermshire and Helen Rubino Turco, Renee McHugh, Ann McKiernan, who's our Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum for West Hartford Public Schools, Jen Evans from WHCI TV, Jeffrey Mainville from the Noah Webster House, as well as our three guests that are joining us this evening, Adrian Billings-Smith, who heads up our Office of Employee Development and Community Engagement, our longtime community advocate, Chuck Corsi, and of course, our town historian, Mary Donahue. Also part of our planning committee was Tracy Wilson, whose spirit I know will live on our within our efforts to honor the past and really inspire the future through our America 250 program. And Tracy was very instrumental in helping our planning committee get off the ground originally. Since April, our task force, and we had created several subcommittees within that task force as well, have met a number of times to plan our America 250 curriculum, for lack of a better word, leading up to and through July of 2026. And I have to say, it's been impressive to watch both our planning committee and our task force work together to plan events that will really touch all generations in town and really recognize the values and experiences that help shape not just West Hartford, but our country as well. So Tonight, I will, through you, Madam Chair, start things by turning it over to Adrienne to kind of start off the conversation around what's been happening and how we are moving forward. So very excited to give the council an update on our efforts this evening. So through you, Madam Chair, I will turn things over to Adrienne.
Great, thank you. And just before you do, I want to acknowledge that Mayor Cantor has joined us as well. So thank you for that. And now back to you, Adrienne.
All right. Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Town Manager Ledwith. It's been a great ride so far, I would say. I'm so happy that Chuck and Mary could join us. Rick gave a great synopsis of what's been happening over the last 6 months or more, I think, of us coming together and starting to plan. As far as the resolution and what we did, we actually were a part of CT Humanities, who offered ways for us to fund so that we can have our events and educational opportunities for our community, as well as arts and cultures, and I'll get into some of the subcommittees. We were able to go through GiveGab, and we raised the $5,584.53 through through the community of donors. We averaged about $20 per resident, which was really great to see how many people are excited and engaged and ready to commemorate America's 250th birthday. We will be receiving that money, as I said, and we'll be doing a number of things. And we'll also be participating in their October campaign, which also has match funds and stuff like that. So we're excited that, like I said, the community is so engaged and is willing to donate to something that's so great, that they're investing in this, because there's really important work throughout that's been done throughout the 6 months and will continue on all the way until July of next year. We do have a tentative calendar. We have 4 subcommittees: Arts and Culture, History, Laura,
Civics and Humanities.
Civics and Humanities, and the other one is slipping my mind. We do have 4 subcommittees so far, and what was the other one? Special events. That's Renee McHugh. Is over. That's why, because she's not on the screen like she usually is with me. Special events, and all of those groups, we have, like Rick said, about 30 plus volunteers who have chosen to show up from all different demographics, all different generations, to be a part of this and this planning. And it's really special to see how great West Hartford is, and the residents that have shown up, and residents who are interested in giving ideas, even if they can't show up. So it's been a great adventure with folks. We do kick off on October 29th, and I'm going to let Mary speak to that event at the Noah Webster House, with a lecture, and then we move basically through the entire year. We have our official kickoff on November 1st, which we have an Indigenous peoples dance and music performance in Blueback Square, as well as a larger event in February 15th for President's Day, and we're going to do the Flags of America, and we partnered with multiple organizations. So everyone wants to be involved. You know, we're looking for sponsorships, because we know businesses would like to be involved, and we want to make sure that everyone can be a part of it. The Board of Education through Ann McKernan is doing some amazing stuff with curriculum, and Chuck as well. He has a great group of people, of creatives, and they're trying to figure out our summer. So everything that we do basically from November until July will have America 250 somehow infused in it, whether it be Celebrate West Hartford will be a big place where we'll be doing it. We'll do it at Juneteenth and Pride. So all those places where you're supposed to, the theme is to tell stories, show the cultures that are within your community, and tell the American story through your community and what your community's done throughout their journey. So just really excited to see where this goes, and everyone's working really hard, and we're meeting pretty much bi-monthly to make sure it goes as well as it can, for sure. So I'm going to pass it along to Mary or Chuck, whoever wants to take it first, so they can give you a little update on their group, and even Laura if she'd like to as well, and Helen, because Helen has some amazing stuff going on as well. You have almost a whole steering committee in here, so we've been working really hard, and I'm really fortunate to have these folks around that are willing to do this work. So I'll kick it to Chuck.
Darn. Excellent. Thanks, Ace. Really appreciate it. And first of all, I just want to say, working with Mary and Adrian and Renee, they are, and I'm not telling you guys anything you don't know. They are gems of this community, and it's just a pleasure. And they get stuff done. And Laura as well. I was lucky enough to work with Laura at the library when I was on the foundation board, and that's what makes West Hartford such a wonderful place. And in keeping with that, I also feel grateful that I was around for our bicentennial here in West Hartford. Why does everybody have to call in? 50 years ago when I was in sixth grade at Bugby. And this year's celebration, or this coming year's celebration, is going to be a little bit different than that, where, a lot of time was spent on the historic aspect of 1776, which is very important. And, history nerds like us enjoy that kind of stuff. But I think some of the stuff that we're really going to be focusing on is telling the stories of people and events whose stories have not really been told in the past, but nevertheless made incredible contributions, not just to West Hartford, but to our country. And there's a lot of opportunities to do that. And I just want to run you through a couple. And I think Adrian made a very good point. With a lot of these events, we're not reinventing the wheel. We are piggybacking on events that have already existed, like Pride, Celebrate, Juneteenth. But also, if we look at shows that are going on at the Playhouse, or programs that are going on at the Noah Webster House, or concerts that are going on, we're trying to bring the educational tools from 250 into those events to say, how has this played a part, whether it's a composer, whether it's a playwright, how have they contribute to our community. So just to run through some of these things that we have in the works, and this is by no means a full list, but I wanted to hit on some of the top ones. The first thing that our committee, we are in the process of doing, is reaching out to all the arts and culture organizations in West Hartford, or represent people in West Hartford. This is a big task. I also, I'm on the Arts and Culture Commission that reports back to the town council. And this is something that we've been doing. And actually, the Arts and Culture Commission is helping the Arts and Culture Subcommittee, too many committees, in the planning. But we want to make sure that we touch every group, and not just, the Playhouse, the Noah Webster House, the Women's Chorale, the Symphony, but also all the different cultural organizations, the different languages and cultures that are represented in our schools. I've lost track of the number of different languages that are spoken at the homes of our students in West Hartford. I believe it's over 60 different languages. And working with Ann McKernan, we're going to end and Promote as well, because Promote knows everybody. But we're working on identifying people from each community. And our goal is in February is to have a kind of a cultural celebration of all the different cultures that make up our community here in West Hartford. Have that at Town Hall. It would also be something that it would showcase not just people's cultures, but their food, their music, their art, and that's one of these events that we are building from the ground up, and a lot of people are getting involved with that. So we're very excited about that. I've gotten to know this woman, Zana, and I'm not going to pronounce her last name because I keep butchering it, but Zana is a professional opera singer. She has sung in the city with a lot of famous folks. She's here in West Hartford. And her story, which I find fascinating, is that she was born and raised in Moscow, and her husband was born and raised in the Ukraine. And they're here in West Hartford, and they have their own opera company, the Amelia Classic Musical Series concert. We're working, she's doing a She's put together a program for a concert in April. We're trying to find a home for that. We've been talking to First Church. They have wonderful acoustics there. That might not work out, but we're looking at some other places. It's something that's definitely going to happen. But her program is going to be featuring singers, professional singers from New York that will be coming up for it, as well as different operas that highlight the cultural experience. So we're really excited about that. She is also going to be performing with the West Hartford Symphony and the West Hartford Women's Chorale on July 1st at those three groups at a celebration concert. Again, Renee is working very hard to find us a home. We were thinking we might be able to do that at Conard. And we're looking at some other places. It's after the school year. We don't want to do it outside. I mean, it'd be lovely to do it outside, but just look out the window. Mother Nature doesn't always cooperate. So we want to make sure that we have a good spot for that. Now, an example of something of piggybacking on events, the Playhouse is doing a production of $1 Million Quartet that's opening up in just a few weeks. And if you haven't heard of the story, it's about the one night back in the 50s when Johnny Cash, Elvis Presley, I'm trying to think of the other two. I should know that, but there were four, very popular performers got together in a recording studio in Nashville, and it's a play based on that. But there's going to be a talk back after that where, some of the, again, more treasures from West Hartford, folks like Jim Chapdelaine and others are going to be talking about not just the music that you see in that show, but also the influences of where it came from. Because any student of rock and roll knows that a lot of the origins of rock and roll came from Black Americans and the music that was inbred in their culture for centuries when they were enslaved. So I think that's going to be extremely interesting. But so again, it's not that's an event that we can brand with 250. We're going to get support in marketing it and also getting the word out. Couple other things we're also exploring our committee is you guys might have heard of what some communities do, Porch Fest, where people residents open up whether it's their front porch, their back patio, or their driveway to performers that can come. This is not, we're not talking about renting big equipment or cranking out heavy duty music. It could be a quartet, a string quartet, a singing quartet, a singer and some strings. But it's really a grassroots phenomenon. The West End of Hartford has a fabulous Porch Fest. I think they just had theirs a few weeks ago. I was in Guilford this summer. Guilford does just a beautiful one. This is one of these events that I think it would be nice, again, to showcase different music that's alive and well in West Hartford. And maybe this could be an ongoing annual event. We're going to start it small this year, probably focus, around the Park Road neighborhood, because I think we have some business owners that would open up their porches as well as residents. So we're in the midst of planning that as well. We've got some folks in our community that are going gung-ho on developing a cookbook that would, I don't want to get too deep into the weeds on it, but it's a cookbook from some of the different restaurants. And they're going to go and cast a wide net to all the different restaurants. But you'd have some of the usual, like, Max, Brick, or that. But they want to get all different cultures and get from their chefs, one recipe that's something that people could probably do in their own home. And they're great. Delana and Delana and who else is doing that? Eric have been. Ryan, that's right. They've been working on that, and their way. It's great to be. The great thing about these committees is these members on the committees they're just picking up the ball and running with it. So we're very excited about that. You know, I think Mary, are you going to talk about the Revolutionary War camp? And yeah, I'll let you talk about that. So that's you know, a few things. Again, the real important thing right now is these 25 to 30 groups trying to get their buy-in, and we want their participation. You know, even if it's, you know, us piggybacking on some of their events that they're doing during the course of the year. So there's about 25 of those, and then who knows how many different cultural groups, different nationalities that are out there. But we're going to make it available to everybody, 250, and offer to help them with whatever event they want to do, and help them to market it, promote it, even teach them how to do some fundraising if that's something they need to do. So that's a quick overview, and I'm happy, you know, once I guess once Mary talks a little, we can answer any questions you guys might have.
Thanks,
Mary?
Chuck. I'll kick it over to Mary. Through
Thank
you,
you.
Madam Chair.
And Mary, you are muted.
Where is that button for Mary? Let's see.
Usually it's in the bottom left.
Bottom left. There you go.
Sometimes you can hit the space bar and that unmutes you. It depends on what version you have.
So Mary, if you scroll down to the bottom, you can see it says mute, stop video. There you go. No. Can you guys unmute her?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. I definitely
Oh,
cannot.
Just had it.
Here she is. She's good.
Okay.
You just
Yes?
had it. Yep.
Yes, we have you.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Excellent.
Oh, I tell you,
Welcome
there's so many formats on these things. I'm the queen of Zoom, but not this. First of all, thank you to council members who are here for my appointment in June as town historian. I'm enjoying it immensely. It's just a fabulous opportunity to do what I like to do anyway. So it's fabulous. So thank you. And I also want to say thank you to Adrian, because she's always very supportive of our the history committee. So much in line with what Chuck was saying, the history committee's goal has really just to spread a wide net and to try to encourage people, if they don't want to participate directly as a committee member, they may be in an organization that has some kind of alignment with the history committee. So we've expanded the history committee to include 8 other partners, ranging from things like Congregation Beth Israel, which has its own museum and archives, the Jewish Historical Society, the American Legion, and several other groups, because we want to encourage them to consider the 250th in their programming any way that they're going to do, and we will work with them to help promote their events. We've got 7 speakers lined up, about one a month really, at the Noah Webster House, kicking off on October 29th with Dr. Richard Ross, who's the definitive scholar of the Connecticut River witch trials. And so he is a retired Trinity scholar. And so he is going to tell you the straight story about the witch trials. And so kicking off with that, we'll also include Booker and Ilana. Devon will tell us about Bristol, which a lot of people now just think is a school, but that was a person. And so they're going to tell the story of Bristow. In February, Dr. Kathy Hermans is going to talk about colonial women, many of which have early colonial names and family connections with people here in West Hartford. And then we've got several other things scheduled. We have 4 events that are going to concentrate on Native American history. And the first one, I think, is November 2nd or 3rd. November 1st, Adrian says, which will be an outdoor event with Indigenous dancers. And so I think that'll be a really family friendly and interesting and colorful event for the fall. And then there are there's a combination of lectures and panels. We'll find out who King Philip really was besides a middle school. So thanks to Adrian for working with one of our committee members on that. We've got 2 workshops lined up. One is Jeff Murray, who writes for the history column for Weha News, and I are going to do one on how to research your old house. And I think this is a whole genre of people that are interested in the history of their houses here in West Hartford, and I think that one's going to be a full house, to say the least. We're also going to do one with the Jewish Historical Society of Greater Hartford on researching in their collection too. Let's see. I'm researching and writing 3 self-guided tours, one for each one of our municipally owned historic cemeteries. And it's funny, I thought that Fairview would be the least interesting. It's actually turning out to be one of the most interesting. So stay tuned for these. They'll be, Renee has found a spot where they'll be posted electronically, digitally on the town website, but I think we'll do a small print run as well. May is Historic Preservation Month, so we're targeting May as maybe a kickoff for being able to have open houses in each one of the municipal cemeteries with a print guide. And then, as I said, Renee has already found a place for this on the website. The Revolutionary War Campground Project is one that Tracy and Chuck and I kicked off before we had the formal committees. And we've been working with Rick, and we've been working with Todd Dumais, our town planner. We have a grant from the Connecticut State Historic Preservation Office at the Department of Economic and Community Development to hire a colonial scholar that will really research the in-depth history of that campsite, which often gets confused with Rochambeau. It's not Rochambeau, it's Putnam. But we want to expand the traditional story on that to include what interface they had with all the townspeople, towns militia, provisions being supplied, how often they used it. It's reputed to be a hospital site. So we have the grant, we'll be hiring a scholar to do that work in a couple of months. We're hope that they'll be able to reveal some women's history and African American history if it exists at that site. So that's going to be an exciting thing that will result in a report, but also a public program.
Can I interject one thing, Mary? For those of you that don't know, that's at the reservoir on 44. And it has been, and Mary, you could probably talk more about it. It's been ravaged a little. And part of our challenge is how do we acknowledge it's been ravaged by, quarterback, armchair archaeologists going out looking for buttons and, things in the dirt. Maybe you might want to talk about how we're going to acknowledge the site, but we're not putting up a welcome mat to let people go through. And
there's only 13 of these campsites in the whole state, and the one in West Hartford is considered one of the most undisturbed because it happens to be the town owns part of the property, MDC owns part of the property, the state owns part of the property. Then there's a couple of private owners, but because the reservoir was put there, it really protected that site from just being a housing subdevelopment somewhere. So, but that doesn't mean that people don't know about it, and they've known about it for 200 years. And so there is a lot of we call it vandalism, but it's sort of pot hunting that's happened up there. And with the advent of the internet, now you can just Google it and you find a all trails map that has a dotted line that takes you from the paved MDC walkway all the way, through the woods over to the archaeological site. So the trick is to uncover its history and celebrate it without encouraging people to trespass on this really fragile site. It doesn't mean in the future we couldn't do signage maybe on the walkway part of at MDC, the publicly accessible part. but we're not trying to have an X marks the spot where people will go and vandalize the site either.
Excellent. Thanks.
Thank you.
I didn't mean to.
I think that wraps up the history committee. We, as I said, we've got a full 7 months worth of activities planned that we've helped plan. We're working with our partners for them to hold their own events, and we're moving right along.
Awesome. Thank you. Sounds like a lot of exciting activities. Do we want to, or is there anything else you wanted to share with us right now, or you'll keep us updated, perhaps as a council as we move through the year?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mary and Chuck and Adrian. We will definitely keep the council updated as we move through and definitely publicize these events as they're coming together. But at this point, we can turn it back to the committee and be happy to answer any questions that folks had.
Perfect. What questions do people have about, I guess, starting with the questions about the resolution to accept the donation of $5,584.53. And then as far as the activities that have been described, or any other questions at all? None from committee members. Any other town council members with questions? All right, so I think we'll see a lot more once these start being posted on the website, and I know we'll do a great job communicating out through social media, email lists, and traditional media as well. We're all looking forward to it. Let us know how else we can help spread the word.
Oh, let me just add one thing. I've got
Sure.
an email. So West Hartford Town Historian @gmail is the email, and I've started to get emails already. And also I have social media. So there's a Facebook page and an Instagram page that's West Hartford Town Historian too. So if you've got, if you're a social media person and you like those, then I'm going to be trying to post all of these events as we go along, in addition to all the hard work that Renee does to get the word out.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'd also, just to follow up on that, the one way, probably one of the most important ways that you guys can help is in promoting what's going on. It's very, with so much going on in West Hartford, it's tough. It's tough to find. There really isn't one place where you can go to find out what's going on. Whether it's social media, I know social media, especially for town governments, does present challenges at times, because the whole process of what you post, how you post, when, what can you post, it can be a little dicey. But the fact is that's how a lot of people are getting their information. And I think it would be helpful, if, and this might be more of a conversation with Gina in Dallas about what we can and can't do from the town to try and really communicate, some of these things via social media and, via a unified calendar of events for 250.
Thanks for that, Chuck. Appreciate it. And appreciate all the work that everyone's doing. Lots and lots of volunteer hours being poured into this project to help us celebrate different aspects of our community at 250. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
All right. Now we're going to move on to item 2C, a resolution appropriating funds on the West Hartford Library Fund to purchase computers, furniture, equipment, and professional services. And back over to you, Mr. Ledwith.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. What we will do, so we have 3 resolutions from the library, and then we have 7 resolutions from Leisure and Social Services, 10 in total. So 9 of the 10 are rolling over unexpended grant funds from last year to this year, with one exception with the library, the first resolution for the library. So what I'll do is, through you, Madam Chair, I'll turn it over to Laura, and she can give a quick summary of each of those 3 resolutions. And then we can go right to Helen, and she can give a brief summary of those 7 resolutions as well. And then these 10 resolutions will be on along with the America 250 resolution, they'll all be on the council agenda for next week. So
Sounds good.
for you, I'll turn it over to Laura. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. So the resolutions for the library are for funding that we get through the state, and it's through their BorrowIT program. So I think you've heard me talk about how we provide materials to residents in other towns, whether they come into our library or they request it from their library and we send it in transit. And likewise, our residents are able to go into any other library in Connecticut and check out materials. And so we receive, the state has a formula for how many materials we loan out and how many materials our residents borrow from other libraries. And then they pay us a portion of funds to help reimburse the cost of other residents using West Hartford materials. So that's the brief synopsis. That's the BorrowIT program. So we, our annual distribution for this year was about $15,000. That's the resolution. And then the other 2, as Rick mentioned, are carryovers. There's also a state aid incentive program through the state where as long as we have policies that comply with state law, we receive additional funding from the state, and that's $1,500. So the resolutions are to get this year's payment and also to carry forward funding that we did not use up last year that we will be using. So that's the brief version. Happy to answer questions.
Thank you. Any questions from committee members? Let's see. So this is, I'm sorry. So the BorrowIT grant is from last year. When will we find out about this year?
So the, I believe it's like March. So it looks back on the previous year. So we just submitted all of our statistics to the state last week. They collect that, produce the state report, and then that is issued. I think it's February to April, somewhere in there. We receive the funds for the next year.
Right. So it just doesn't align at all with our fiscal year. That's what makes it complicated.
Yeah, that's why it's coming up now, because usually it's hitting right at the worst time. So, so it ends up landing on a fall agenda.
All right, thank you. Anyone else have questions about these 3? All right, thank you.
And Helen, you want to take over, quickly summarize those next 7?
Sure. Sorry to be so long-winded. And I'll go through them in the order in which they're listed in our agenda. The Amplify grant for supports behavioral health services. This is a state opioid response grant. And I just have to give a shout out to Liz Bazinski, our Assistant Director of Social Services, because she not only seeks and receives grants, but also tracks them all with the help of Patty Lewis in finance to make sure that all of the grant funds that are coming in are all tracked, all the activities are eligible, that all the reporting is done on time. And these are all really a lot to keep track of. So I just want to give them a shout out. These state opioid response grants, these funds were spent over this past summer on eligible activities organized largely by Gretchen Levitz, our prevention coordinator. The next resolution is we still have a tiny bit of money, $1,000 left from a grant we received from the John G. Martin Foundation, and this is going to be for signage that is related to the, as you may recall, they donated $75,000 to the department for bridges, not bridges, platforms, fishing platforms, docks that we've installed in 3 parks. and we're going to take care of that this fall. The North Central Area Agency on Aging also supported us with a grant for, this is really for seniors who need help with light housework, cleaning, organizing. Sometimes it's when they're returning home from rehab, they need some things done in their home, or if they're in the process of declining and they just need some temporary help before they can move into an assisted living area. So that's sort of what this covers. And this is a grant that gets reimbursed to us when we spend it. So if we don't find eligible activities, we just don't get the funding. The next project is, believe it or not, is a leftover from some COVID funding that was allotted to the state of Connecticut Department of Aging and Disability Services. They turned around and made grants to senior centers, and this grant we used to purchase the van, the senior van, which is and these remaining funds are carried forward. They help fund maintenance and gas and other eligible activities, operating costs for the van. The Steps to Safety Fall Prevention Program is, I don't know if you're aware, but it is Fall Prevention Awareness Week this week. This is a project that the fire marshal and social services is doing with also with the health district. And there was an event today at Alma Community Center, and there's another one on Tuesday, the 30th of September at the Bishop's Corner Senior Center. And this is really, the funds are used to for supplies and training materials to help people be safe in their own home, to prevent falls. It's not that we're preventing fall, we like autumn. These are things like grab bars or safety mats under rugs or night lights, that kind of thing. And so there are about 20 people that registered for these programs, but anyone can come. Then, as I said, the next one is on September 30th at the Bishop's Corner branch. The second to last resolution is appropriating rollover funds for a youth recovery grant that we received from through the Wheeler Clinic, is how the funds came to us. And this funds substance-free events like the Back to School Backpack Program. These funds have actually, they were spent this fall. And so the end of this grant date has come. We're just upon it. And so this is just appropriating those funds for eligible activities. The final one is a little complicated, but I will do my best to simplify. The CDBG appropriation that happens at the end of every CDBG year. And as your eyes glaze over, I'm happy to stop if you need additional explanations, but we do have Patty Lewis standing by in case I lose my mind explaining this. The first section of this 4-section resolution is to close completed projects. If any remaining funds are placed into our unallocated bucket. So that's what this first section does. These projects are done. The second section is rolling forward appropriations from the previous year. And these are for ongoing projects, ongoing capital projects, or that we have established and aren't quite finished yet. So the funding for this includes any remaining funds from the ones that were just closed, the current funds that were rolling forward for these open projects, as well as unallocated funding if there was any left over in our unallocated area, as well as program income from housing, the housing rehab program. So housing rehab gives out grants and loans. People pay them back when they sell their home, or if they have enough funding have enough funds to pay them off. So we have to spend that money first. And so that's why we roll that. That's last year's program income. Section 3 is where we align our grant from HUD with our annual action plan. So as you may recall, the town council adopts a budget in April that was based on last year's grant. And then we get our notification from HUD, and sometimes it's a little bit more, sometimes it's a little bit less. And so we have to make adjustments to our adopted budget so that we can match the grant we get as well as the allocations that we outlined in our annual action plan to HUD. So really, this is a realignment based on anticipated needs so that the budgets match with our programs. And this is a good time to remind you that there are kind of 4 major areas that CDBG funds. One is public service. The second is the administration of all of these programs. The third is our housing rehabilitation program. And the fourth is infrastructure programs. This is projects that support low and moderate income people or low moderate income areas of town, as well as outside agencies that may come to us with grant requests. 15% of our HUD money is the cap. We can only spend up to 15% on public service, and we can spend only up to 20% on administration. And the rest is for housing rehab and those infrastructure, the rehabilitation projects, community rehabilitation. The fourth section is where we are appropriating unallocated prior year and current year grant funds for new projects. So these are new things that we're going to be funding with CDBG. And they include a handicapped trail at Westmore Park, as well as a new playscape in Kennedy Park, which is an eligible neighborhood. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. I'm sure that others have questions, so I'll open it up to committee members first. Councillor Walters or Councillor Fay?
Yes, thanks, Deb. Helen, thanks for that. Can you give us some numbers behind each one of the categories? I don't have access to the document right now.
Oh, it's quite lengthy, Councillor Fay. So maybe just the summary numbers, would that be okay?
Yeah, that's all I was looking for. Just a summary, please.
I'm not sure what I can summarize.
I think I got it. So, and actually, this is my opportunity to see if I understand this. How's that? So, in section 1, which is the projects that are completed or closed out, it's about $18,000 and change that is done. It's the Kennedy Park Bathhouse, the lifts for Cornerstone Pool, food pantry, and then under the capital improvement part, things that are done, that's another 10,000 or so. So those are pretty small numbers. Section 2, this is where we start getting into the bigger numbers. These are the funds that are still ongoing projects. And rolling forward some funds, and we're talking about a little over $500,000. And I assume that's a timing issue, Helen, because of when CDBG appropriations come in versus our municipal budget being completed.
That's the next one. This one really is because some projects haven't quite been completed yet, so they've been going on for some time. So for example, the Walcott Park restroom, that building is pretty much complete. We're still working on some very minor, cleanup items, punch list items there. And then once that project is complete, we will close it. And so you'll see that next year as one of our closeout items. But it's a roll forward because we still have funding that is still being allocated, as it's about $50,000 left to finish up that project.
And help all of us understand then, I'm looking at a number that says $506,046
Right.
for infrastructure improvements, and that is increased revenues, and then another number of 427,000 and change for estimated appropriations. So can you talk a little bit about what those numbers represent?
Sure. The 506,000 under CDBG infrastructure improvements, that includes the funds that were left over from the closed projects from the first section. Some of them came in under budget, so we reappropriate those. It also is all of the current funding that the balances that we have in the Walcott Park restroom and the Kennedy Park planning, which are ongoing. And it also includes an unallocated funding from the first that was pre-existing that we're rolling forward, and as well as the program income of 180,000. About every year, the housing rehabilitation program generates about, the last couple of years, it's been about $180,000 of repayments that are coming back to the town, and so we have to appropriate those funds somehow. So this is where we roll them forward so that we can then, in the next steps, allocate them. And the one thing that looks a little funny there, and the reason why the 427 is different from the 506 is because there's just, we did have some COVID funding that was left over, the CDBG CB funding that was left over. And we are appropriating all of that to finish one last project. So we're going to be done with our COVID funding. And that's the dehumidifier project that was at Cornerstone Aquatic Center.
Okay, I think I get that.
And the next
so it's
one,
a combination then, section 2 is a combination of revenue that's coming in as repayment of loans that we've given out, projects that have come in under budget, so we have unexpended funds for those, and then part of the grant that we need to roll forward into the current year.
correct.
Okay. And so, Councillor Fay, that's a larger number, a little over $500,000. Then section 3, to align with our annual action plan, we're talking about increased revenues of around $35,000 and decrease, and then our expenditures around $77,000. I'm not quite sure how we're getting less and spending more. So maybe, Helen, this could be a good time for you to answer that part. Also, while you're on this piece, can you tell us what public service is?
Sure.
Like, I know what administration is, so that part's easy, I think.
So public service is what we used to call volunteer services and HANIC, and they were in two different accounts. But we're phasing out our volunteer services program, and we're moving the small amount of that work into what we're calling now public service, and that is HANIC and the food pantry, and then other kind of volunteer coordination that we do. So we felt public service was a better term than having the items identified individually. So it was just faster. The other reason why is because one of the reasons why we're moving things around is because some of the grant requests that we received last year, or in April and May and June, when we approved, when we wrote our annual action plan, was different groups that aren't doing an infrastructure project, but instead are doing a service project. and really belongs in that public service area because they're helping homeless people or they're helping low and moderate income people. So it's a program rather than renovating an elevator or doing a new roof on a building that was or doing some accessibility project. So we sort of had to tweak those where we put the money. So instead of having, that's why you see decrease in infrastructure improvements, but you see an increase in the public service areas. And you can see those two grant, the Jewish Family Services and Journey Home. That's where those grants show up. So we had to take them out of one thing, put them in another. At the end of the day, we're not changing the amount really, other than we're taking it out of infrastructure improvements, which is sort of our biggest bucket, and putting it towards really specific projects.
All right, we're almost there. Thank you so much for all the explanation. Section 4, this is going to be the biggest number here. We're talking about $637,000, almost $638,000 in infrastructure improvements. And the largest chunk of those, Councilor Fay, will go to the Westmore Park Trail, $300,000, and Kennedy Park Playscape, $300,000.
Thank you.
Sure thing.
I just have
Does
a
it?
question in general about, since a lot of these are grants, I understand the COVID that I'll use just layman's terms, so everybody can understand. It's use it or lose it. We have to spend the COVID money. We can't, put it in the bank, so to speak. But some of these things, why couldn't they count towards a surplus? Is it because they're grants and we have to spend it?
I'm going to turn that over to Helen, but I think the answer is yes.
Yes, so the grant funds from the Department of Housing and Urban Development have very strict guidelines about how they can be spent. And they have to be spent on eligible programs. And we manage that project with staff who tracks everything. And we also retain all of the certified payrolls. We make sure that if it's a construction project, that all of the right wages are being paid, and that they meet the needs of the specific set of eligible neighborhood or people, low-income people. So it's very specific to those parameters.
I get. It's got to be spent.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you're breaking up a little, so I'm just going to repeat for others to hear. But yeah, so Councilor Fay was asking, is there any way that we could just keep the money, use it in our, put it into surplus in case we need it in another year? And the answer is with all grant funds, there's a purpose, there are deliverables to be met. And so that is the reason that we have these resolutions, that we're able to carry forward the money, usually if the funder allows us to do that, so that we can meet the goals and deliverables of the grant. And we're not allowed to just take the money, and that wouldn't be a transparent way of us having our budget. Make sense?
Yes, good.
Any other questions around these? Okay, thank you. It is complicated, and I really appreciate the work that our finance team and our human and leisure services departments are doing to bring the money in and then spend the money in ways that will most benefit people in our town. I'm excited about some of these projects coming our way, and some of the ones that we've done recently with the CDBG funds, and fingers crossed that this is a program that continues into the future to benefit low-income people, people with disabilities, and certain neighborhoods in our town.
Thank you. And I do want to just give one last shout out to Patty Lewis, who has really helped a lot with my understanding of this, we've helped each other, but really, this is a complicated document, and I want to thank her for her time too.
Yeah, thank you so much. Agree. All right, so I think we made our way through all of the resolutions, unless anybody has any other questions about the other resolutions, the fall prevention, senior van, anything. Okay with all those? I just think it's a little ironic that is the first week of fall is Fall Prevention Week. So it's a good way to remember it. Okay, so we are going to now move to the library update, and I'll turn it back over to Laura.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Excuse me. I'm very excited to talk to you about our West Hartford Reads program for this year. It will be on Thursday, October 23rd at Sedgwick Middle School. And we're thrilled to have Liz Moore, author of bestsellers God of the Woods and Long Bright River. Liz Moore was the winner of our Winter Madness book tournament last winter, and we're so happy to bring her to West Hartford. The tickets were incredibly popular. We sold them out in about 3 hours. I say sold out, but it's a free event. We just gave away all the tickets. And just for perspective, the capacity of the auditorium is about 480. Due to overwhelming demand, we're also able to add a live stream option for the night of the event. People must register on the library website in order to get the link. And so far we have 120 people signed up. So we really got a great author for this year that's resonating with the community. And the event is made possible by the Thomas Kelflow bequest from the West Hartford Library Foundation. Our summer reading was a great success this year. We had a wonderful program and a lot of activities for people of all ages. This year, we updated our children's and teen summer reading programs, and it really paid off. We saw an increase in participation. Overall, we had over 1,000 attendees for our youth programming over the course of the summer at all our locations. So I just want to commend our entire children's and teen staff for really rethinking the program and how we can get more kids in the library in the summer. And September is Library Card Sign-Up Month. We have seen our cardholder numbers slowly increasing, and we have about 1,500 more library cardholders now than we did this time last year. Our theme for this month is Ideas Live Here. We had a banner up in Unity Green and have some fun signage out in the library to invite people in, as well as traditional programming. Anyone who gets their new WHPL library card this month will get a custom Ideas Live Here pin or WHPL keychain and all of the amazing benefits of their public library. We have an Understanding Probate series that is ongoing. It's a 4-part series led by West Hartford Probate Judge Owen P. Egan. It's a panel discussion featuring legal experts and open Q&A, and each session, they're once a month and they're on different topics. They include the probate process, estate planning basics, use of trusts, and Medicaid. This is something where it's super complicated and people just really appreciate the opportunity to learn a little more about these. Our first session in September was fully booked, and the upcoming October one is already booked as well. But there's good news. All our sessions are live streamed and recorded by WHCI, so you can find them on the YouTube channel if you can't get in or if you missed it. I wanted to tell you about a featured resource we have called Novelist. It's a service we subscribe to that you can access through our library website. You just type in your library card number, and then it helps you find your next book. So you can search for things that meet your own specific tastes. You can look up a book you read and find similar titles or authors on an auto-generated list. You can also look for things that you like about a book. So if you like in-depth characters or a creepy atmosphere or whatever it is, you can search for those things. So your friendly neighborhood librarian is always the best place to go for a book recommendation. But if it's the middle of the night and you need another book, this resource is also a great way to go. And I wanted to highlight some of our upcoming programs. In October, we're having another program with the Office of Employee Development and Community Engagement. So join us on National Coming Out Day for a screening of the documentary Before You Know It, followed by a facilitated discussion. This is on October 11th at Noah Webster Meeting Room. We have a gardening workshop series on seed saving. If you've ever wanted to save seeds from your favorite flower or vegetable in your garden, but you didn't know how to get started, you can join the West Hartford Garden Club's Advanced Master Gardeners for a lesson on how to do that on October 4th at the Noah Webster Meeting Room. You can join us to help prepare your students' mental health for college. Dr. James Geisler is a leading higher education professional specializing in student mental health. He'll provide parents with valuable insights and practical guidance on how to help build a strong foundation for their students' mental health and overall success. This one's on October 27th at Noah Webster. We have a sensory-friendly story time on October 7th. Introduction to Google Photos at Faxon on October 29th. And Bishop's Corner is having their outdoor movie, and this year we're inviting everyone to pick the flick that they want to see. You can vote at your local library, and the movie choices are Minecraft, How to Train Your Dragon, or Lilo and Stitch. The movie is happening on October 10th at Bishop's Corner outside, and I hope you all can join us there. Those are my updates. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. I'm sorry to put you on the spot. Do you know how many library card holders we have in town?
You know, I had the spreadsheet up just in case you asked. We have 24,896 as of the end of August.
That's pretty good.
It is.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? All right. And next, we are going to go back over to Helen. Bring us home.
Thank you. I wanted to a couple highlights from the summer that I didn't put into the update that was attached to the meeting materials. But at our outdoor pools, we had over 24,000 guests at the pools this summer for public swim. Thought that was pretty impressive. Our camps, our two camps at Elmwood Community Center, both maxed out, had a fill rate of 100%. This was the Discovery Zone camp for kids age 6 to 12. We had 675 campers for the full day camp, a little bit bigger than last year. The Busy Bees camp, which is for the little kids aged 3 to 5, also maxed out at 455 full day campers over 10 weeks. We weren't able to scramble to create an additional camp on week 11. I think a lot of families were looking for that Busy Bee age care, and we were able to accept 11 additional campers that week by utilizing extra available staff and an unused available classroom. We just scrambled to get that done, and it was really well received. At both Fernridge and Beachland, which is where we run the Funtastic camps for ages 6 to 11, those also maxed out. We serviced 55 students, 55 youth at both sites, at each site for 8 weeks. So that did add up. And I wanted to just highlight 2 programs that were in the update that I gave. One is an upcoming program that is going to be given by Laura Stack from Johnny's Ambassadors. This is a best-selling author, national speaker that's coming to speak about the dangerous truth about today's marijuana. She will be speaking at both Conard and Hall in assemblies, but she's also doing a community talk back on youth prevention on October 23rd at Elmwood Community Center from 2 to 3:30. And so this is a grant-funded program outside of our budget by another outside agency, but I just wanted to highlight that important author talk. And on the leisure services side, we're doing lots of improvements all over town. Fern tennis, the pool replacements, et cetera. But I just wanted to highlight one very small project, and that is we renovated the Friendship Memorial Park. It's a little parklet on the corner of Raymond Road and Park Road. And this park was dedicated in 2004 to honor the memory of 2 high school friends, Ashley Woodfield and Jennifer Hamilton. These were 2 girls that were at Conard High School, best friends. And we recently made these improvements to this park with the West Hartford Garden Club leisure services, public works, as well as the families. So we have new plantings, including flowers that are the colors of the girls, the favorite colors, and as well as a new bench that's dedicated to the two of them, but in general to friendship. So I just wanted to highlight that and give a shout out to our friends in Public Works, as well as many, many volunteers from the Garden Club who help us all over town. And that concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions?
Good.
No one? I'm just looking through too, the pool demo at Eisenhower. Hoping we're going to have that demoed and constructed in time for next summer, correct?
That's correct.
Yep, great. All right.
Hi, Deb. I do
Yeah.
have I'm sorry. I'm having technical difficulties here. I apologize.
No worries.
I do apologize. Gosh, I panicked for a minute. My phone, my screen went blank, and I was able to get back in, thankfully. It's a little unrelated to what you just went through, Helen, but thank you for your updates. But I wanted to raise this through this committee. I think it's important. I think you guys won't be surprised. It's regarding Rockledge, and I've gotten a lot of traffic. We've all gotten some, and I've also gotten quite a few calls. Can you give us a status of the restaurant and what the plans are? I understand their lease is up at the end of the year, and I know a lot of the constituents and golfers and other residents are just wondering. They have concerns. They like the current proprietor, but just wondering what the status was. If we could be briefed, I'd appreciate that through committee.
Yeah, thank
Sure,
you.
I can
Before I
answer
turn
that.
that over, just
Yeah.
as a heads up to anybody who might be listening, we may need to be a little bit careful about what's reported. So with that, I will turn it over to Town Manager Letwith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And you're right, this is really a confidential matter that we're dealing with. It's not like any other contract negotiation with any of our vendors that we may have. So it wouldn't be appropriate at this time to air kind of that process in a public setting as we continue to work through that process, which we hope to do and have completed shortly. And certainly we'll keep the council apprised of that.
With all due respect, I absolutely respect confidentiality. I'm trying really hard not to breach it, but the public it's out there.
Not through us, it is not.
No, but
yeah. So, I mean,
No.
that certainly can happen, but I, don't feel comfortable engaging just because the someone made someone aware of something that's happening behind the scenes. I don't think at this point should be brought and made public as we continue to work through that. But
yeah, let's make sure that we keep what we do on the up and up and don't get into any trouble for anything that's reported. I would say one thing that probably is public information is the end date of the existing contract. Am I correct with that, Mr. Manager?
Yes, yeah. And the contract does expire on December 31st. However, we can extend it, which is
There you go.
what we're trying to do.
I think that's probably a sufficient amount of information for this forum. Again, just because there are other parties putting information out doesn't mean that the town should do that as well, given the sensitive nature of any negotiation. So I want to be sensitive to that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, well, thanks for sticking with us, everybody. Without objection, we will adjourn the meeting at 7:14 p.m. Everyone have a great rest of the night, and we will see you next week for Town Council on the unusual day of Monday.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night.